I just wanted to film an update video in regards to my pregnancy. I was in such a bad way when I filmed my last video. I was totally and completely devastated. I was crying. It was awful. I'd been crying all day. The bleeding continued, and I ended up going to hospital again yesterday because the early pregnancy clinic would not take me for a follow-up ultrasound, and I continued to bleed and be in pain. So I decided it was time to go to the hospital. So my HCG results came in pretty quickly, and my HCG had gone from 5600 to 6900. So I thought, okay, the pregnancy's over. Everything's like hopeless. Um, because as far as I always knew, HCG was meant to double every 2 to 3 days, and it had been 40 hours and it only went up by 1300, and it should have gone up by another 5600. So I was just like, I lost all hope in that minute when the nurse came and told me. So they wheeled me down for an ultrasound, and I was expecting them to tell me that the sac was still empty and that I was going to be having a miscarriage or a blighted ovum. And I was just really, really devastated. Went in for the ultrasound, and the woman first of all did an ultrasound on my tummy, and then she went in for transvaginal ultrasound. And she left the room while I put my clothes back on. Now in America, things are slightly different. In England, when you have an ultrasound, you're allowed to look at it and you're allowed to have the pictures. Whereas in America, if you have an ultrasound in a medical environment, you're not allowed to see it or have the pictures unless it's like a baby place. So I had the ultrasound, she left, and I was getting my clothes on, and I peeked. The woman walked out, so she couldn't see me. She left the screen on with the pictures, and inside the gestational sac, I saw a little white circle. And I quickly got a picture on my phone and I sent it to all my female friends who had babies, and I'm like, there's something in the sac, isn't there? And they're all like, yeah, that's a yolk sac. And I'm like, no way. So I went back into the hospital room and I waited for the doctor to come out, and he comes out and he's like, all right, well, it appears that your baby is progressing and the pregnancy is going well. We found a yolk sac inside the gestational sac, so your pregnancy is continuing and progressing. And I was like, mind blown. I thought it was over. I was even told that this gestational sac might have just been a sac of blood, and that I would have to start worrying about ectopics again. So just when I thought everything had fallen apart, my little yolk sac showed up in the gestational sac. I was told yesterday that I was 6 weeks and 3 days pregnant, which means today I am 6 weeks and 4 days pregnant. They did not see a heartbeat yesterday at 6 weeks, 3 days pregnant. However, there's also a chance that the dates could be possibly slightly wrong. And another thing is that sometimes the heartbeat's just too difficult to see until you get to 7 weeks of pregnancy, sometimes not even till 8 weeks of pregnancy. So I'm not too panicked. I mean, I am a little anxious, and I'm really hoping the heartbeat shows up. And obviously, because my HCG didn't go up really fast, I got quite worried about it. And I'm still a little concerned about it, but I have an appointment with a gynecologist tomorrow, so hopefully they can go over it and really talk with me in depth about it. And then hopefully they'll give me a follow-up ultrasound and see if baby gets a heartbeat or not. But this is the furthest I've come in any pregnancy. I've never seen a yolk sac in any of my pregnancies. I've only ever seen an empty sac and then miscarried before I ever saw the yolk sac. So this is the furthest I've come, apart from Chloe, of course, my 2.5-year-old. So that's really, really exciting news. And so I asked the doctor, I said, my HCG only went up by 1300 and I thought it was meant to double. And he said, well, because you're past 6 weeks of pregnancy, HCG tends to slow down. It can take up to 4 days to double. So he said not to panic too much about that. And he discharged me, basically just put me on bed rest and pelvic rest as long as I bleed. So obviously I have to be on and off pelvic rest because I'm on and off bleeding. So it's been a really hard pregnancy so far, and I'm only halfway through the first trimester, but I really, really hope this baby holds on. I'm just hoping so much. Like, I just really, really want to see my beautiful little baby. I just want them to keep going. Um, anyway, I'll make sure to make an update video in a few days. In terms of symptoms, by this point when I was pregnant with Chloe, I was violently unwell, and I'm not so unwell, so I don't know if it's good or bad. Sometimes I get scared, like if my pregnancy nausea isn't the worst, I'm like, well, is that bad? Am I not getting enough hormone? I don't know. But maybe it's just a better pregnancy. But so far it's like waves of nausea, but I have not actually vomited. So I don't know if this pregnancy will be totally different. Different sperm, of course. So I don't know. So that's one thing. And I've been very tired. I've been craving a lot of weird stuff like pickled beans and beef, jalapenos, those little pickles, what they call kunikons or something. And yeah, I've just been craving the weirdest stuff. So I think I'm having a boy. At first I thought they were twins, but there's only one. And I think it could be a boy because of the cravings. They say with a girl you crave sweet stuff, and with Chloe I did. I craved strawberry milkshakes with her, and with this one I'm craving a lot of savoury stuff. Anyway, hopefully pregnancy keeps going well, and then after 12 weeks I think I can take a breath. Anyway, I'm just trying to keep my stress levels low. I'm very tired. I wanted to say more and talk more in depth, but it's just been a really hard few days and I'm drained. So I'm going to end this here. I need to brush my hair. I just had a shower, hence why the hair looks like this. Anyway, talk to you guys later.